Hello. You know, I realized something. In the past, a lot of claims have been made about video games that were untrue. And when you hear them now, they sound kinda foolish. In the past, a lot of people believed that the availability of video games has led to an epidemic of youth violence, despite the fact that the violence seemed to start when parents start parenting and start putting their children's behavior at the blame of everything but themselves. These people were incorrect. In the past, people used to believe that children were the primary targets for video games, despite the fact that the center of the video game market has shifted over, as the early generation of gamers continued to play into and through adulthood. These people were also incorrect. In the past, people believed that almost no girls played video games, despite the fact that while the video game market has been predominantly male, the percentage of women playing the games has steadily increased over the past 2 decades. These people too were incorrect. In the past, people believed that video games were socially isolating, despite the fact that there were places called arcades, and the fact that almost 60% of freaking gamers play with friends, and that a growing number of games are designed for multiple players. Even these people were incorrect. Now, today, it seems that a lot of people believe that the Xbox 360 and Microsoft are bad for the gaming industry. Could these people be incorrect as well? Today, I want to discuss a topic about the economic sector involved with the development, marketing, and sale of video games that's been around for decades. This seems to be a major subject when discussing this generation's consoles, known as the gaming industry. Now, when you think about the gaming industry and what it truly represents, then hear what others think about the gaming industry based on their dislikes of a specific console. What they say can sometimes sound pretty moronic. What am I implying exactly? If you believe a company or product made by that company is bad for the industry, but your definition of bad comes not from facts, but from your own animosity for said company or product, sometimes you can sound pretty short-sighted when trying to explain why something is as inadequate as you claim it is. Now, as we all know, there is and will always be hostility for certain things, and consoles are no different. People hate the Wii, the PS3, the Xbox 360, and hell, even people hate the PC. And while I don't hate any console this gen, there are decisions that were made by the companies of these consoles that I found rather perplexing. And I think those decisions have played a big role in what has changed the industry so much to the point that I think I could see how it may feel that the industry has taken some pretty big hits. In the past, gaming took a big blow, and I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what I'm referring to, the ever so popular gaming crash of '83. There are a cluster of things that happened that caused this crash, and those things ended up being mistakes that some companies today learn from. Was bad for games back then? Well, an abundance of games and consoles, competition from PC, loss of publishing controls, and high-profile game disasters. But do you believe that those things could still crash the gaming industry again today? I think a flood of games and consoles would be more of a risk to the companies that make them than the actual industry as a whole. Competition from PC seems to have only made the companies try and make the console take on a more PC approach, so I don't believe that can do it. A loss of publishing control, like the hardware manufacturers losing control of their exclusive supply of games, doesn't seem like it could happen this generation. However, games rushing to join the market with lack of experience and talent to create them hit it pretty close, with Nintendo and its abundant amount of shovelware. But it looks like overall, Nintendo has it covered, since its exclusive library overshadows the shovelware. And as far as high-profile game disasters go, some games may not live up to their hype, but it's far from being disastrous. However, all of these things are past events. We know now that things have changed, and that negative events that happened in the past can't happen again, at least not in the same way, since now we have too many things that can prevent it. So I don't really see the past repeating itself, but that's the past. What about now? With all the things going on now, What negative events in gaming today do you think can really affect the gaming industry as a whole, and if not careful, cause another gaming crash? Now when it comes to what I believe is bad for the industry, the first thing that comes to my mind is Xbox Live. Wipe that smile off your face, PS3 fans, because I'm not about to say what you think I am. When I say Xbox Live, I'm not implying the same thing others are when they mention it. I'm not referring to the pay-to-play online aspect, as I honestly don't believe pay-to-play can hurt anything as far as the gaming industry itself goes. This industry has survived a hell of a lot worse, and I really believe that if this industry is to truly be ruined, it will take a hell of a lot more than something as small as pay-to-play subscription to do so, especially when that subscription is only on one of 3 consoles this gen. As long as pay-to-play stays on Xbox, then I could care less, because I don't own one. But when it comes to online gaming on consoles, Microsoft made it popular. Yes, I am aware of the online capabilities that the Sega Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 had, but let's face it, Microsoft made online gaming on consoles a standard. Ask yourself, if the PS3 and Wii didn't have online gaming this generation, would they still be as successful as they are now, competing against another online console despite its yearly fee? I believe the Wii may still have been, due to online gaming not necessarily being its main feature, so to say, but for the PS3, I'm not so sure. Because while it does have a lot of exclusive games, most of the games being bought have online play. And this is where I think the problem begins. Now don't get me wrong, I like having online play and probably wouldn't have it any other way. But I believe online gaming on consoles, while maybe not intentionally, brought out the laziness in developers, and online allows laziness to be patched. Online allowed gaming companies to charge you for things that really should and used to be free. Super Street Fighter 4 is one of the favorite games this gen. One of the most idiotic things I've seen for this is that you get charged for something that would normally reward you through gameplay. Alternate outfits for characters. I always found it strange that they did that. I figured if they were to make you pay for anything, it should be more characters and stages. Something like an expansion to the game. I think Little Big Planet suffers with this problem as well. A lot of these games this gen seem to charge you for the unimportant things that back in prior gaming generations we would get for free through gameplay. It makes me feel like we don't really get in-game rewards anymore, but instead have to pay for them. Why do they do this? Is it because they didn't think of it beforehand? Or is it because they know they can get more money doing it this way? I believe DLC can really hurt the gaming industry when it's taken advantage of like it is now. DLC simply give developers an excuse not to truly finish a game, but to make you think it's finished, then release the finished content as DLC. And because of this, I blame Xbox Live, because it got this whole thing started. But I guess we have to take the good in with the bad. A lot of people think the Xbox 360 is bad for the industry. However, I don't believe it's bad for the industry, I think it's bad for Microsoft. Microsoft is indeed a powerful company with a lot of money. However, I feel if the shooter genre didn't take off the way it did, there'd be a pretty good chance that the Xbox 360 wouldn't have happened. People's love of shooters this gen is what the 360 success is based upon, regardless of Red Ring of Death or pay to play. Those of you that want Microsoft off the gaming map have to first get rid of its main reason for being shooters. Yeah, good luck with that. With Sony, I think Sony made one main mistake in this industry. First, let's get one thing straight. Between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, it's quite clear that when it comes to hardware, Sony has it on lock. There's no denying that. But the problem seems to be that Sony can make damn good hardware, but not really know what to do with it. And when you're in that situation, it can backfire. When you have competition that's either had a lot of experience with this situation, or has a lot of money to use to get people who are experienced in this situation to help them out. Sony's hardware is indeed more reliable than Microsoft's, but we're seeing this generation that alone isn't helping. But this isn't bad for the gaming industry, as it only affects Sony. Microsoft and Nintendo don't have this problem. Bad choices are made in the gaming industry all the time. bad choices made by one company aren't bad for the whole industry, as long as we don't all have to make the same choice. As long as I don't have to own an Xbox 360, I don't have to pay for online. And I like it that way, and I want to stay that way. We've had shitty consoles in the past, but they didn't ruin the gaming industry, they just ruined themselves. It's always good to have choices, because choices prevent us from having to get something we may not want. We have 3 choices this generation. We know that these 3 consoles have problems. However, it becomes difficult to really know what real problems there are out there, when the majority of the time people are telling us what they don't like instead of what's really wrong. We can't let our hatred of something automatically mean bad for the industry. Remember, there was a time when people thought motion controls were bad for the industry, and look where that ended up. They look pretty stupid now. All motion controls did was find another way to play a game. They didn't ruin anything. A lot of people end up wanting all 3 consoles to be the same and do the exact same thing. Yet they don't realize that that's one of the main reasons why we had the first video game crash to begin with. There were too many consoles on the market that did the same thing. It's starting to become difficult to know if the thing said about these consoles are based on facts, or on pure hatred for the companies that make these horrible, terrible, bad for the industry products of doom and destruction that will lead to the ever so horrifying apocalypse of gaming. There are plenty of things that are bad for the gaming industry, and that could eventually end to destroying gaming as we know it. However, if Microsoft is to truly destroy gaming, or even try to be bad for the industry, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot better than pay to play and Red Ring of Death. People's passions for gaming are too strong for something like pay to play to really ruin the experience. You really want to destroy the industry? You attack them financially. Do you know how to attack them financially? Piracy. That's how. So if you really want to try and protect the gaming industry, then you have to talk about all of the problems, not just one particular thing you don't like.